Greetings, everybody. It is Sunday, March 1st, 2015. At this end, I'm putting the date at the beginning of these just in case you happen to stumble across one of these 10 years down the road and want to put this in some perspective. In fact, one of the things I've been doing recently is going back to some of the old blog writings 6-7 years ago on this site. And a reminder for those new to the site, certainly, there's a tab up here or up here somewhere. That talks about the original blog or links to the original blog, and I encourage you when you get really bored at times to maybe peruse that. There's a section in the lower left-hand margin on key posts that I thought were either particularly relevant from my perspective or had received a tremendous amount of discussion or interest amongst the trading community. And that's on the left-hand side, so you can kind of pick and choose some topics that might be of interest to you, and it's going to remain out there as long as I'm able to keep that content out there, and I don't plan on going anywhere in the near future. So a reminder, though, that that content is out there. What I may do from time to time is actually bring one of those forward or link to. I know Dr. Brett does that quite a bit with his blog. It's a little time-consuming, that sort of thing at this end, but maybe I'll start doing a little bit of that to provide you direct links to content, which, in my view, will remain timeless as long as markets trade. So what do we want to talk about today? I'm doing this Sunday because yesterday I was involved with the planning for a weekend retreat. Some of you know from the past that I'm heavily involved in an effort at this end, which is called the Walk to Emmaus. And there's certainly more information you can Google on that if you're ever interested. But for the last many years, I've been involved in a team that plans the event and prepares twice a year here in New England. And I sit on the board for that, and my wife and I do. And so it's an effort that during two seasons, the winter and late summer, we're involved every other week roughly for a full day on Saturdays doing some planning for those. And that's where I was yesterday. And, you know, as often happens, I see parallels to trading all over the place, and this site, this weekend trader video it continues to be somewhat unique from others, not in a better way necessarily, but in a different way in terms of we talk a lot about life and trading and vice versa in terms of linking back and forth, and that's just how I see things. I'm in a trading. Involved with my trading screen, watching charts, and you know the life parallels interject. I'm involved in maybe a retreat planning session, and lots of in-depth discussions there, and all of a sudden I see trading parallels slip in, and I've said in the book that trading is in life are in parallel with one another. Trading is a reflection of life, and life is a reflection of trading, and the more that you understand and get better at one of those, that should bleed over into the other one. And I guess where I'm going with this is, you know, we talked a little bit recently about the requirement to manage human capital. So much time is spent on technical analysis. So much time is spent on understanding the markets. To the extent, perhaps, that we don't have the emotional or the human capital available to actually execute the plan. And what I'm talking about here is very much like the smoking doctor telling the patient not to smoke. It's been one of my biggest challenges over the course of my life and over the course of my trading career. I'm like a jackrabbit in that I'm very good in spurts. I can run the races, if you will, the short distance races, probably as well as the next guy. Not in a physical sense, but in a trading sense. But managing the capital, the human capital, from an overall perspective, probably remains my largest challenge. And so it's an area that continues to generate interest at this end as I mature in life and in the trading industry. And something I'm continuing to work on. So as often is the case, what I'm talking about here is something that I'm definitely or personally dealing with at my end. But it's become clear to me that that's an area that's not talked about a whole lot. You know, I was reading recently again pieces from Stoudemire's Stoudemire on Markets, Trading the Market Profile, not for the market profile portion as much, but with interest in the section that he carves out there in human capacity. And so, I'm going to be 54 in 10 days. The average age of the traders that I work alongside of, for the most part, is, 49, 50. We've seen that predominantly through the training programs we run over the past, how many years has it now been? 6 maybe. And so that's a topic of interest for all of us. And I'm babbling here a little bit, but yesterday's effort was a reminder for me that, for me, it was a good time to unwind, a good time to inject balance into life. My dad once often told me that, and everything is good. Everything on this earth is good in moderation. And it's so easy for those of us who are type A or who can get tunnel-driven, tunnel-focused, to just spend so much time in one particular area that it's at the detriment or to the detriment of others. And I know that that's happened in my life. It's happened in terms of my trading taken an excessive amount of focus at times, both not necessarily during the market time, but certainly after market hours, especially in a market that is open essentially 24/5, and it's like a casino, not in terms of gambling because we're the house, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit as well, but just because of the availability, and it takes a tremendous amount of discipline, and it takes a tremendous amount of foregoing certain opportunities in order to keep yourself sharp for those times where you are actively engaged and you are positioned mentally, emotionally, physically to be productive. And I know that continues to be a challenge with me, especially as I'm involved with multiple efforts, including trading over the course of the day. But a lot of my evening time I can entirely devote to trading if I so choose. But it's a constant challenge of managing that human capacity. So I guess I would encourage all of us, including myself, to remember what the market is, what the trading part of our life is, and carefully define it and manage it as such, because it's so easy to bleed over into other areas that are so far more important than business, our family, our faith, and so on and so forth. And again, I'm as guilty as anybody else. So that's one thought. I want to also talk a little bit about Twitter. We've had some experimenting over the last couple of weeks with hashtag jelly trades, and I continue to kind of see how trading best fits into this. And most of you folks, or many of you folks, have been involved so much longer than I have with kind of carving this out in terms of how it works with you. And one of the things that came across my mind is, why be involved in social media? This goes back to the chat rooms of the 1990s, and there are still a few chat rooms out there today, some of which are viable, most are not, frankly. I mean that with all due respect. And I say that because when you think about social media to begin with, you're not necessarily going to learn how to fly a plane in a chat room following Twitter, or you're not going to learn how to be a surgeon or any skilled profession. And so I always come back to the question of how do we add value? Is it a good mechanism to vent? Is it a good mechanism to share frustration? Is it a good mechanism to share heads ups in terms of sequences or something that maybe some news that you've seen? And there's the whole gamut on Twitter, certainly, as I look at my dashboard over here, my tweet deck. But the thought that came across me this past week, including my own trading, one of the reasons that I've not been as active over the course of the day is anytime any of us are typing in a social media, communicating with somebody, it's going to take our focus off of the market. And that in and of itself is going to have a negative impact. Something else that being involved in these sorts of efforts in an incorrect way is going to be, okay, let's say, we chest beat a little bit, and we've all done it. I've done it a little bit. Let's say we chest beat a little bit on great, we called this number and we get out here and all that. Well, what I would ask myself, and I would ask others to look at is, okay, great, you read the market well, wonderful. That's 10% of the business. And I say 10% because the next question that I would ask myself is, okay, Don, how did you manage that sequence? Great, you saw an opportunity at X, moved to Y, you got most of it, great. Or you had an entry and exit anyway. How did you manage the sequence? Did you have enough conviction, enough confidence and enough experience to manage that, all out. What did you get your full allotment of capital on? Because I would suggest, and I know this is true with me, if you are narrating to your trades, if you are chest beating, if you are, and I said it at one point this week, and I mean this with all due love because I'm going to be talking to some dear friends of mine here. But we collectively have to get out of the "I told you so" business. We just have to. The only thing that "I told you so" does is if you are a vendor, it markets a service, flat out, or it allows you to. It shows that there's ego creeping into our trading, and ego's the killer. So, I would ask, okay, great. There's so many posts that say, as I said this morning, as I said yesterday. Well, great, wonderful. But what is the relevance of that? What is the relevance of that? So as a trader, did you manage that sequence? Let's go back. Okay, you won the game as a baseball pitcher. But what was your ERA for the game? How many walks did you give up? How can you improve on your game? Okay, this is all the stuff that goes unspoken. And it's something that we have to keep coming back to as traders and as individuals to make sure that we are optimizing these sequences. It's not a matter of picking an entry and an exit price. Anybody can do that. I can teach somebody in a day to do that. Okay, so why do 95% of the traders fail in this business? It's because of all the other stuff. It's how do we focus ourselves, focus our minds, optimize our potential, optimize the opportunity that is within that trade. So you're calling ES at X and an exit at Y. Wonderful, but did you get all your capital in there? Did you manage it appropriately? Did you take 90% off after a point if you saw 5 points potential? Did you not add to the position as it was going your way? When you're getting that initial confirmation, not as it was getting retail, but you get that initial confirmation, bang, you get the rest of it off. You're still generally wholesale. Did you get that on? Are you able to maintain that consistency from that particular trade sequence to the next sequence, to the next sequence? Okay, the pitcher's got to evaluate. Okay, yeah, I won the game. Great, because win-loss column in baseball, that's all that matters. But in our business, it's much more than calling a trade right or executing a trade right in terms of numbers. It's a matter of how do we optimize. Baseball, you win 11-10, it goes in the win column as 1, and you're 1-0. In trading, it goes in as 11-10, which is very different than 11-0. And so really it's up to us to make sure that we are focused. And again, I'm preaching to myself as much as anybody. When you see me not tweeting, not involved in social media, not posting certainly over the course of the trading day and the blog, it's because I'm focused on something that is more important than just talking about it. And I'm probably preaching some things that are so very obvious. And again, I know I'm talking directly to a few of my dear peers and friends in this industry. And I'm including myself in this discussion. We have to collectively get ourselves away from this "I told you so" business. It doesn't do anybody any good. There are other ways to market services. There are other ways to redirect those energies into something that's far more productive than the danger of social media. So I'll leave us with that collective thought in terms of the tweet deck and so on and so forth. I'm trying very hard at this stage in my life to not be overly critical, because I think the older that we get, the more that we see that we all fall short. And I think that, again, going back to yesterday's event for me, and being around other men with similar intentions, we realize that we all struggle. We all struggle with the same thing. One of the things that we do as this team is we bond together. We talk about, before we're able to minister to others coming on over the course of the weekends coming up, we as a team providing the support need to make sure that we have our act, not together necessarily, but that we have bonded as a team. And so we go around the units, kind of like a little trading circle, decompression in terms of, okay, what are you struggling with in your life and your careers and your businesses and your families? And the average age of the guys probably, undoubtedly into the 50s. And so what are we challenged with? And there's a common theme as you go around the table. You would think that these are all people that get it, they understand it. But it's the same thing as if you were going around a team of seasoned traders. these are people that still understand that the race is not over yet, and there's a lot of left work to do individually. And I come out of something like that feeling, well, great. I feel better about myself. I'm not going crazy. Why do I keep slipping in some areas? 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Well, that's the way that life works, and we just have to continue the journey and not give in. So, very much analogous to trading. And so, one of the things we've tried to do really hard here is focus on transparency. The blog, the book. I know I've been criticized for talking more negative than positive about my own trading experiences, but I guess I feel I've done that because I feel that there's been a necessity to overbalance a lot of what I see out there. And to the extent that I've gone the other way too far, I apologize, because there should be a business where we uplift everybody. We uplift all of us. And so I'm going to work really hard at my upcoming posts to keep it useful. A great friend of mine says he tries not to say anything unless it's helpful. Does a lot better job than I do there. But what can we do as traders? What can we do as a trading community to use these tools and use them so far more effectively than the way they may be used today by ourselves and by others? How can we use that tool? So we have limited mental energy. Balance your life. Don, balance your life. Realize where trading fits in, and go at it, balls to the wall, excuse the expression, but compartmentalize that, shut it down for intervals, refresh, rejuvenate. It's Sunday if you're watching this on Sunday. Take the day off completely, mentally, physically, emotionally. Recharge your batteries, connect with what you feel you need to connect with, and go from there. I love you all. I don't have all the answers. The older I get, the fewer answers I seem to think I have. All I'm doing is sharing one trader's view alongside my brothers and sisters here, as if we were around a circle together. So God bless you all. Have a great trading week, and I hope that helps you start your week right. Take care.